Hi, Kelly. I'm just wondering, so you came from a program like Villanova that was just perennially successful every year to a team that frankly just didn't have the greatest year last year. So how do you think you can help bring a winning mentality to the squad and just exercise like your role as a leader on the team to help them out?
That's a great question. So like you said, while I was at Villanova, my team, we actually went to the NCAA tournament one year. So I have that postseason experience. I'm a senior. I'm naturally a leader. And one of the biggest reasons why I chose to come to Penn State was because of Coach Keeger. She coached at Marquette, as you all know. Marquette is in the Big East with Villanova. So the past 3 years, I was matched up against her in Marquette. And I knew I wanted to be a part of that championship culture. So I went in the transfer portal. I was actually hoping she would call. But yeah, I definitely think I can bring my leadership and help this team out with my experience.
Justin Antler.
Hey, Kelly, great to see you. You look great. Looking forward to the season. Was Penn State, you're a PA kid, Anna's a PA kid, McKenna's a PA kid, Cash is a PA kid. Do you all think that, you can do something bigger than yourselves and represent this university on a large scale?
For sure. I'm a Pennsylvania native, like you said. I live an hour away from here. So where I'm from is like Penn State Nation. Growing up, I came and I watched Taylor Battle and the men's team play. I came and watched Maggie Lucas and the women's team play. And just being a part of that Penn State culture has been really significant for me in my process here. But me, McKenna, Cash, we all have a bond from just being from the state of Pennsylvania. Maddie, she's a freshman, Maddie Burke out of Doylestown, Pennsylvania. But yeah, being from Pennsylvania and representing the largest school from the state is just a really cool feeling.
What'd you learn as kind of like a sideline coach last year, Kelly? I mean, you probably have the highest IQ on the team, but what'd you learn sitting on the bench from afar? Even if you couldn't travel, what'd you learn from watching games on BTN or listening to them?
Thank you, first of all. I would just say it was really beneficial for me to be on the sideline. I've never really been exposed to Big Ten basketball. Being a part of the Big East, I played against Michigan and Indiana in the NIT one year, my freshman year. But besides that, I really wasn't matched up against any of those Big Ten teams. So I realized how competitive the league was. This year, there's over 5 teams in the top 25. So we just got to be prepared and ready for that challenge.
Tanyan.
All right. So I was wondering what role do you envision yourself having in the team this year? Coach Keeger mentioned earlier that she's trying to like switch things up a little bit, play a lot of small ball and just kind of move people from position to position, play positionless basketball. So how do you see yourself fitting with that system?
Well, first, I would say that my role, I'm a senior, like I said in one of the other questions, I'm an experienced leader. So one of my biggest roles is just to guide these 8 freshmen and the returners to have a successful season. I would say in terms of position, I've always been a guard. I've always been a 2 and a shooter. But I'm going to have to pick up more of a scoring role this year. We lost one of our leading scorers. But Anna, Kenna, McKenna, Marissa, we can all score the ball. And, I'm going to have to pick up that role as well. So.
Andrew Calista.
Hey, Kelly, how you doing? First, want to congratulate you for your little sister signing with LaSalle.
Thank you.
I posted from Mike Craig the other day.
Awesome.
You mentioned the PA ties with all the girls on the team. You player of the year in the state of Pennsylvania when you were at Cumberland Valley. Is there a sense of pride among you girls, not to kind of get Penn State women's basketball back to where it was, making those Sweet 16, Elite 8 runs? I know I have 1 or 2 Final Fours, but to put them back there with Coach Krieger and that championship mentality?
For sure. Like you said, I went to CV. I'm a local kid. When I was in high school, I had aspirations to come here. I really loved the school. It was one of my final 2 schools. And at the time, I just thought Villanova was a better fit. But like you said, I'm really excited about being here. It's been awesome to just be a student here. And even though with COVID, it's a lot different, just representing the school has been a lot of fun. And Coach Keeger, I'm super excited for her and her career. I know the great things that she can do. I've seen it firsthand as an opponent, and it's super special that I get to be on her team. And I'm so thankful to have this opportunity.
Any other questions? Jody, you got anything?
Yeah. Thanks very much, Mark. Kelly, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Anxious to see the Lady Lions back on the floor playing basketball, as I'm sure you are.
Super excited. Yes.
what's it like for you having to sit out last year due to injury and with the transfer and such? I know you're with the team, you're there day in, day out, but what's it going to be like for you when you finally hit the floor once again in game action?
It's going to be really special. I have not played a game in almost 2 years. So just to be able to get into the game, I'm just super excited. I did learn a lot on the sideline. I've said in a few other questions, but I learned so much about the Big Ten. I learned so much about the style of play. The style of play that Coach Keeger runs is completely different than what I'm used to. But just having that half year really helped adjust. But yeah, I'm just super excited to play with my teammates.
Awesome. We're looking forward to seeing you out there.
Me too. Thank you.
Andrew Costa?
Kelly, you mentioned a 2-year layoff. Where would you say your body is at wise coming back to where you left off? And because 2 years, I mean, that's not to be a negative Nancy. That's a lot of rust to kind of knock off.
Right.
Even
yeah. So the typical rehab process for someone with an ACL is about 9 months, and I transferred right in the middle of that. So mine was prolonged in the sense that I had to transfer as well and get adjusted into a new rehab process with Penn State's protocol. But our strength coach, she's one of my favorite people here on campus. She helped me get to where I need to be. I feel even better than ever before. And like I said, I'm just super excited to get back out there.
Jake Arafat?
Yeah, Kelly, obviously transferring, so you didn't transfer obviously in the middle of the pandemic, but what has it been like sort of in this process of, a lot of girls have transferred in the middle of this pandemic, so how has that, what has that been like getting to know everyone and as one of the upperclassmen on this team trying to sort of work everyone into the fold?
Yeah, I would say first, it was really helpful that I came here when I did, which was in January. I was able to sit out, get to know the coaches, get to learn the style of play, get to learn the system, the culture, everything. Me, Anna, McKenna, and Shay, we formed great relationships. And as returners, that's really important. I would say the COVID experience, I've played 3 years of college basketball, and this is nothing like what I've experienced before. But there's been a lot of benefits from, what has happened. And I would just say that one of those benefits is that we've been able to connect off the court. We're social distancing right now. So this summer we've had a lot of time to spend and get to know each other off the court, which has been really helpful, and getting to know a new young team.
Andrew Costa?
Kelly, just one more. I mean, with the pandemic going on, the time you spent back here at Cumberland Valley, being from the basketball family you're from, how much training did you do with your sister and family members, and did that help you kind of get ready for this season?
Right. So for anyone who doesn't know my family, my sister Katie, she plays at St. Joe's University in Philadelphia, right down the street from Villanova, my old school. And my sister Julie just signed her national letter of intent to LaSalle University, also in the Philadelphia area. And then there's also another sister. She is a freshman and she is getting college looks as well. I'm trying to root for Penn State to be in the mix. But yeah, for sure. We were in the driveway every single day, just working on our game. Just staying fit was mainly the priority for us. But yeah, it was really helpful that we had each other to kind of work together. But yeah.
Jake?
Yeah, so, and forgive me if this has been asked before, but what was it originally that drew you to Penn State? I mean, obviously, Villanova sort of is known as a basketball power, and in the last couple of years, Penn State maybe hasn't been to the same extent. But what was it that drew you to Penn State?
Well, first and foremost, Coach Keeger and her staff drew me to Penn State. I did say this in a previous question, but Villanova plays against Marquette in the Big East every single year, and Coach Keeger was obviously at Marquette. And so I've been her opponent the past 3 years. I've seen firsthand what her championship culture is, the players that she's able to develop. So when I went into the transfer portal, I kind of had Penn State in the back of my mind, like, oh, I hope she calls, because I would love to be a part of that. Even though Penn State didn't have a great record the past couple of years, like I'm a Pennsylvania native. I know what the school is all about. I originally kind of wanted to come here as a high schooler. And when I heard Coach Keeger was the head coach, that was my main draw to this campus. So,
And what's impressed you about, some of the younger players on the team, or even, some of the new faces that are maybe transferring in?
So we have 8 freshmen. I would say one thing that has impressed me so far with a few of them is that when I was an underclassman, I relied heavily on my upperclassmen to kind of get me where I needed to be. But they have been relying on each other because there's only a few of us upperclassmen. And they're very mature and they're adjusting to, Coach Keeger's system very well. And they're stepping up confidently, which I've been really impressed with.
And in your experience, does that maturity off the court typically translate on the court, when it's game time and when there are big clutch situations and things like that?
For sure. I'm a firm believer that, especially in terms of leadership, you need to get to know your players personally or your teammates personally. You can't expect to go onto the court and just have that chemistry if you have no idea who you're playing with as a person. When you get to know your teammates on a personal level, I think that really is the driving force of like your team chemistry. And I think the freshmen and I have clicked off the court, which has helped a lot so far.
Mm-hmm. And, Coach Keeger has talked about it. I just finished with John Asia and he's talked about it, these action steps that you all are taking and,
Yep.
being outspoken on social justice. As one of the upperclassmen on this team and as a leader, how important is that for you?
Oh, it's so important. I mean, the fact that our coaching staff allows us to use our voice in our platforms for these important messages is super significant to the development and growth of our country and even our campus. I know our fellow classmates, not even student athletes, are looking up to us. So I think it's really important.
And is that a responsibility that, how seriously do you guys take that? The fact that, hey, maybe you've got a bigger platform than the average student, so we really need to be committed to this.
For sure. I think you just hit it nail on the head. And I know that they describe the action steps to you, but especially our social media platforms, like we have lots of followers, lots of fans. And I know that they value our opinion. So whatever we can do is going to get done. So
thank you.
For sure.
Any questions? Just raise your hand. Go ahead.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
I just wanted to ask you, what was the thing that drew you to Penn State? Being a senior and you're going to be joining so many young players, a rebuilding situation. What makes you want to be a part of that? And what do you think from a physical or a skill aspect you add to this rebuild?
So first, what drew me to Penn State was Coach Keeger and her staff. I played at Villanova the past 3 years, and she obviously coached at Marquette, which is in the Big East. So I have seen her coaching style as an opponent, and I've always known that the way that she coaches her programs is something that I want to be a part of. She also developed a lot of professional players, and that's something I aspire to be, is to play at the next level. And I know that her and her staff will get me there. In terms of my role and what I can bring to this team, I'm a scorer, I'm a facilitator. We have a lot of talented underclassmen. Even though we're young, they're talented. Our returners that are coming back, we already have built really good connections and we work really well together. So I think just being a leader and helping people get into their right spots and just having that extra knowledge and experience is going to be very helpful to this young team.
And what's it going to feel like just getting on the floor this year? You've been through so much in terms of, you've had injury, correct? And then
Yes.
you've got the pandemic and everything, just to get out there and play, what is that going to be like for you? Have you thought about that at all?
Oh yeah, I think about that every day. Don't worry. Going through an injury like that is super hard. I had to be extremely patient because right in the middle of that rehab process, I transferred and then I got adjusted to a team and then a global pandemic hit. So then I went home and then basically our entire team transferred out and I had to meet a bunch of new people. So I would say patience was the key for me. Times got frustrating, but Coach Keeger and her staff, they're super motivating and there's so much to look forward to every single day. Like I'm excited for games, but I show up to practice and I'm ready every single day just to improve and to take nothing for granted, because I know that it can be taken away from you at any given point. So.
Justin Antler?
Hey, Kelly, I'm back. Sorry, I want to talk to some of your other teammates, then to get back to you. Well, what's the strength of the team right now?
I would say our strength right now is our juice, our energy. I would say that we all come to practice prepared, knowing that we have 13 days until our first game. A lot of the freshmen don't even know what it's like to play in a college basketball game, so they're excited for that. I would say my energy is really high. I just talked to the last interviewer. I haven't played a game in a very long time, so my energy and excitement is very high. But we all have really high and positive spirits about this season, and we're really excited.
And how has your game changed since you got to Penn State? Like, what were you working on with the assistant coaches?
So at Villanova, I strictly shot 3-pointers and layups, and that was just the system that we played in. Penn State, run and gun, transition, and that's what I'm mostly excited for, is the fast style of play that Coach Keeger facilitates. And I've also been working a lot on my mid-range game. It exists. I just didn't really use it at Villanova because it wasn't needed. But yeah, I would say those are the things that I've been working on the most and improving on every single day.
All right. Hi, Kelly. I was just wondering what sort of expectations you have for yourself this year and for the team, and just what sort of goals you're looking to hit this season.
So I expect us to kind of shock the world. Yes, we have 8 freshmen, but we have 8 talented freshmen who have been maturing at a rapid rate. They're adjusting to the style of play. I would say in terms of goals, our ultimate goal is to win a Big Ten championship. Individually, I just want to be the best leader that I can be for, these underclassmen, and set us up to have a great year. So, yeah.
Right. And then also, how has it been just learning to play with so many new faces on the teams, and what sort of things have you done to really just kind of bring the team together? I'm assuming it's harder to do stuff with COVID and everything, but what have you done to just improve team chemistry and everything like that?
Right. So it was challenging at first, not going to lie, just because we're not allowed to do anything really. We have to be social distance because of the protocols that were put in place. But I would say that the time social distancing has actually helped us with chemistry because it kind of forced us to hang out with people that we've never met before. So I would just say, especially over the quarantine, over Zooms, we had weekly Zooms. And then once we finally got back to campus, we did hang out in smaller group settings, which has helped with our team chemistry.
Justin?
Hey, Kelly, was just talking to Anna. Look, I know we're focused on this year, but would you be allowed to play another year? Are you a senior, or what would that be? I know you're focused on this year, but just kind of looking at the kind of global spectrum here, Kelly.
Right. So,
or would that be a decision you make later?
That is going to be a decision I make later. The option is there, just
because
the option
is
everything
there. Okay.
Going on with COVID and everything. All winter athletes were granted another year of eligibility. That was announced about a month or so ago. But yeah, I'm focusing on this year, and that's something I will be deciding later on.
And also, what's the biggest difference between the Big East and the Big Ten, just in terms of equipment and technology, Kelly? Breaking things down and scouting report wise.
So I would say the biggest difference is, first, in terms of personnel, the Big Ten is much bigger. The Big East was full of shooters and full of guards. So when I played in the Big East, the top 15 to 20 scorers, I think 80 to 90% of them were guards. But in the Big Ten, they kind of buckled down in the post, and that's something that every team kind of looks for. And I would say for us, we don't have 6'5" center, so we're gonna try and beat teams with our speed.
And what motivates you every day when you wake up? What motivates you?
I would say similar to one of my last answers. I've been out for a while. I, with the global pandemic and everything, had to be really patient. I just know that playing this game is something that I should not take for granted, because it can be taken from you at any given point. So every day I wake up, I'm super excited to attack the day, whatever's in front of me. And I'm also motivated by this experience coming to Penn State because I never thought I would be here. When I was at Villanova, I thought I would be there for my 4 years. And, things change. And I'm really excited that I have this opportunity to play for Coach Keeger and her staff. And I've met so many great teammates. And I'm just really excited for what this opportunity has to offer me.
And which knee was it that you injured in the Big East tournament in 19?
It was my right knee.
Did you know right away that it was going to be catastrophic, or were you just thinking, all right, you're so tough, I'm just going to, keep on playing the next possession?
Yeah, no, I went down with my ACL, my meniscus, my LCL, my MCL.
Goodness.
It was like everything. Yeah, so I knew I was down for a while. So, yeah. My dad was like, "Oh, it's just a knee sprain." We will see.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Kelly.
Sorry about that.
So do you have any reminders of that day, or do you not even want to think about it? Like a special saying or something in your locker to remember that day, to be like, man, it's been do you have a track? It's been X amount of days since I played basketball.
I actually don't. It's not something I really try to think about. And now that I'm back playing, I don't think about it at all. And it feels completely normal. Whenever I was going through the rehab, it was on March 10th. So the 10th of every month, I'd be like, here I am, I'm killing it. But now it's kind of irrelevant to me. I'm past it.
And what's your favorite drill in practice? What gets your juices flowing, Kelly?
Gets my juices flowing. Well, I love scrimmaging. If we can play the whole practice, I want to play. But if I had to pick one drill, I would probably say our opening defensive drill. We come out, we made a poster and we all signed it. And we signed it and we stated one thing that we wanted to work on this season. And then we slap it with our hand, we go out and we start playing defense. And Coach Keir kind of leads us through. It's kind of like one of those charge drills, but I like that because it gets us prepared for the practice. We know it's coming at the beginning of every practice, and it's fun and it gets us going. So.
All right, we'll go to Pascal here and then Eric.
Yeah.
Hi, Kelly. I feel like it's sort of easy sometimes to take the ability to play a sport for granted. Obviously, there's a point in the season where you and your team may have doubted the idea of playing this year. So with all that being said, can you speak to how much appreciation that the team has gained for just being able to play basketball this season?
Yeah, for sure. I would say first, the returners, Anna, McKenna, Shay, Nia, we did not have the season that we initially pictured last year. So with this global pandemic, they were fighting for something so much greater than just this season. They want to attack it because of, what they had to go through last season. And for me, I've been out with my injury, the pandemic. Like I said, I've had to be really patient. But we're all just super excited to prove what Penn State basketball really is.